Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Wake Up Call. This is Judy Cohen, and this is Wake Up Call 515. Happy New Year. So let's see, before the holidays, we'd been walking the Noble Eightfold Path together. And we'd looked at wise effort, wise mindfulness, and wise concentration. And those are the three samadhi steps of the path, or the steps of settling and focusing the mind. So now let's look at sila or ethical steps, the ethical steps. Um, and that feels appropriate for the new year. So those are wise communication, wise action, and wise livelihood. And we'll start with wise communication. And the premise of all three, just FYI, is the same. The premise, or you could say the aspiration, is non-harming. So another way of saying that is the invitation to us, to the legal profession, is to communicate, act, and work in ways that are non-harming. Can we do that? I mean, the law is an adversary system. There are other rules, like the rules of professional conduct. So can we practice wise communication, be committed to non-harming and not break our ethical rules? And I think so. But let's look at the size of the cloth, which is a beautiful phrase from Naomi Shihab Nye, because there are so many ways we communicate that weren't even, wildly imagined at the time of the ancient teachings, when wise communication was first sort of laid out. So we still talk to one another. That's a good thing. But we also Zoom. Here we are. We call, we text, we chat, we email. In some cases, we still write letters. We also post. We're on social media. We're on blogs, places like Medium and Substack. And then we may put comments in publication sections. We may talk on an organization's internal communications platform if we're at an organization that has that. So it kind of feels endless, the ways that we reach out and also the opportunities for us to put our views out there. You know what I mean? And then we listen also, or we try to. Maybe we could do better. I could do better. But, we listen, we read what's been written and texted and chatted and posted. All right, so we do all this. And the premise wants to be that we're doing it in a non-harming way. So to me, that means, or I guess maybe a better way of saying it is to me that the only way that only works if we set the intention first to not cause harm before we put the communication out there and even before we take the communication in, right? Okay, so just consider that along with the rest of this. So I went and I combined some of the classical lists for wise communication because there's a few. And here's an acronym that I'm liking right now. It's thinking cap. So for the ways we communicate outwards, think, the ing just makes it work, right? Stands for true, helpful, interconnected, necessary, and kind. And for the ways we take in communication, CAP stands for curious, attentive, and patient. And it's easy to remember. So let's go through it. Starting with putting things out there, thinking, the first thing is everything wants to be true. So, right away, all the lawyers kind of back up. Wait a minute, we can't do that. But, if we lie, I mean, first of all, we're causing moral injury to ourselves. And then who knows what harm we're causing to other people. So even if the truth has to be, I can't say more, I feel like it's incumbent upon us. Uh, and it's also, in a way, it's obvious that we need to be telling the truth. But not, Perry Mason, not the whole truth necessarily, right? The H of thinking is helpful. So what if we only said things which were true and also helpful? In fact, what if we warmed our hearts a little before we opened our mouths or lowered our fingers to the keyboard? This would be part of intention setting. Or said some metta or practiced a little compassion for the person or the people we were about to reach, right? Then I feel like we probably wouldn't be anything but helpful. And, wouldn't that change things? Okay, next is I for interconnection. And I think of interconnection as a way and also a why, right? So it's setting the intention to remember that the person across the table or the room or the courtroom and I are connected. Okay. So the deported person, the woman who was murdered yesterday, the ICE agent who shot her, all of us are interconnected. Everyone is our sibling, our parent, our child, our colleague, our side, the other side, right? And we're theirs. We're in this together, like it or not, acknowledge it or not. And this is one of Thich Nhat Hanh's great teachings, maybe his biggest teaching, that we inter-are. So can we talk that way? Can we walk that way? Because we are. We really and truly are all in this together. Okay, and then I really love the N of thinking, THIN, okay, which is necessary. So does anybody remember the portable practice of wait, which is why am I talking? So this is one of my favorite practices, or talking or texting or taking action, right? Is it necessary? Or is it a filler? Or is it gossip, right? What's needed and what's not? What if my words aren't needed? Can I keep my own counsel? Good idiom, right? Or here's an even better one, which I like even better. If it's not necessary, can we hold our peace? Right? It's such a nice way to think about it. And then finally, K. T for truthful, H helpful, I interconnected, N necessary, and then K is kind, right? And yeah, you knew that was coming. Can we be kind? We imagine our immediate audience, our one person, our 1 million people, and we intentionally summon kindness, right? Whether they're friends or adversaries, we do that. And we actually wait a beat until kindness arises before we speak, before we write, before we post, right? Kindness towards our audience and also towards anyone they're connected with. And also, and this is a big one, kindness about everyone. That's important. So it's our whole attitude. All right, so that's putting communication out there and then taking it in, thinking C, curious. Can we be curious whenever we take something in? Which for me means non-judgmental, interested, having a don't know mind, not freezing the person speaking, writing, posting in some frame from long ago or even from a moment ago, right? Not knowing what they're going to say, letting go of thinking that I do, and definitely not trying to, finish their sentence or tell them we already know what they're going to say. The A, attentive, which for me means no, I cannot check my texts and listen at the same time. I cannot. There is no such thing as texting. So if you're reading emails right now, go for it. But we're each only doing one thing at a time. And it's our choice to be attentive or not. And then P is patient, which maybe belongs in thinking, the both sides of taking things in and putting things out there, but it only fits in the cap side. So here it is. But just speaking as somebody who's in the constant process of trying to cultivate more patience, that quality of relaxing the body and smiling and letting the listening or reading or seeing, letting it in, taking it in slowly in a relaxed way and ending up taking in so much more because we've given ourselves the gift of patience and also given the speaker or writer or poster that same gift. So that's wise communication in a nutshell, except for one thing. Um, just in case you were about to miss this person, don't miss this person, don't miss yourself. Communicate with yourself in the same way, communicate, listen to yourself in the same way. Listen with these same qualities to yourself, speak with these same qualities to yourself.